Well, this is a Sunday here in Chico, California, where we are going to attempt the impossible. Well, the impossible is exactly what science is always targeting. It's impossible to understand something so far. Well, we're right there to push that boundary. What about the ultimate boundary? There are several ways of characterizing an ultimate boundary depending on context. But if you're talking about the cosmos, you're probably talking about the outer edge. That would be the ultimate limit. What is at the edge of the universe? Well, we are raising a question that every single human child has asked. It's the first question that a human being asks in this context. That is, your first glimpse of the universe would be approximately the first time or somewhere in there that you ever looked up into the night sky and noticed that you can see forever. You can look as hard as you want, as long as you want, just stare, stare, stare into the depths of the night sky. There's no sunlight to block you. You're looking at little twinkling points of light that are so far away, it's unimaginable. Well, if you use your imagination, which all children attempt to do at this moment, you will attempt to position yourself further and further out using your vision. What about blind people? I will be talking about blind people, the tribe of Earth known as the blind people. There are two kinds of blind people and further subclasses of blind people. But the ones we're most interested in are the ones such as the blind person that Yeshua healed, who was blind from birth. He never used his eyes. They didn't work. He came out of the womb, he took his first breath, he grew up without the use of his or her eyes. That's a blind person. That's not the only kind of blind person. I went blind. I had 2 operations on my cataract-infused eyes, actually my lenses. Had those lenses extracted with 1 operation from one eye, a second operation a few weeks later from the other eye, and all of a sudden, it wasn't all of a sudden, was it? The reason both eyes are not ordinarily operated upon at the same time is because of the small possibility of a mistake. Because there are, from our perspective, random forces in the universe that can disrupt any sequence. Any sequence can be disrupted by an unpredicted force, or a force that manifests statistically that doesn't ordinarily manifest, but this motherfucking time it did and ruined everything. So that can happen, and you can have a failed operation, but if it's on one eye, you only lose that eye. If it's on both eyes, there's a higher possibility that the mistake could be made twice, in which case your chances of seeing just went to 0. So that's why one operation is done at a time, and the second operation, if that is needed for the other eye, is delayed. To avoid that small statistical possibility of a major horrendous fuck-up, which can happen in any operation. My father had his appendix just about to explode for so long that he was just about to fall over dead or unconscious because he was pouring sweat. And only the intervention of his wife, my mother, saved his life, because he was forced out of the store that he was tending to as its owner, where I was his number one man, performing the acts of cash register and stock boy, etc., that runs a business. As his son, I was quite blessed to have a job in my teens. But when he had appendicitis, I watched him, and I mentioned to him, "Dad, you're pouring sweat." But he was working, doing the books, and I was tending to the cash register, etc., and sweat was pouring off of his face. My mother paid a visit because word got back to her that Dad is still sick and he's never going to get help. because he's an American. He doesn't do things that way. He'd rather die than go to a doctor. Just as I inherited the same rather self-defeating tendency that, nah, I'm fine, it'll go away. Well, my mother, practically in tears, forced him, had to drag him. He wouldn't go, his own wife. But he does listen to her. He's always attended to her, and he gives in. He doesn't want to go to the doctor, but she made him. The operating doctor, as soon as he got to the hospital and they looked at him, they rushed him to emergency, and they got his appendix out. And as it was being extracted, it exploded. If it had exploded 1 minute earlier, it would have been a very difficult job to save his life. If it had exploded any time before a minute earlier, he'd be dead. Well, he is dead now, but from natural causes, or more natural, I guess you'd have to say. But he would have died. He was standing there, his appendix was ready to explode, and to die of sepsis is nobody's idea of a good way to go, but it's 100% fatal. If your appendix explodes in your abdomen, and your abdomen is not already open, you're dead. You just died from your appendix exploding. So that's the frailty of life. Now, you and I would like to use our remaining time in some kind of constructive fashion. As a scientist, we're limited in what we can do. We don't go on psychedelic experiences. That's not science. You're taking a little trip because you're bored and frustrated and hopeless. And so you want a little thrilly-dilly. Well, who doesn't? That's why we drink alcohol. That's why we take poisonous drugs, is for any form of relief from the indemnity of life, which is a losing proposition. Is it? Then why are you here? So you can't answer that. But it has an answer, or you wouldn't be here. That's religion. What's the answer to the question of your existence? Why do you exist? Well, nobody has ever been able to answer that question, except when someone does get the right answer, they're never heard from again. And that's the history of the human race. All successes are obliterated, so that the common denominator rises in its ability to commit sin. And now you see the result. 800 billion people, absolutely uncoordinated, absolutely rootless, no conception of the great beyond, whatever that might even be, and the idea of going to the edge of the universe, which we're going to do now, is a meaningless fantasy. Because nothing makes sense. So are you trying to make sense out of things? Let me ask you a very difficult question, which I will attempt to answer during our journey. Why are you doing what you're doing? You don't know. I know that's a very frustrating, really a threatening question. Because the innuendo is that you're so blind and so stupid that you cannot function correctly. You have no answers. You're just a hunk of meat. Welcome to the satanic program for your life. That's what you're taught, certainly in America. You're a dog. You're a homo. You have all the sin that everyone around you has, and if you deny that, you're making yourself superior. You will be pulled down into the muck until you're just like everybody else again. And Satan can go on with his plan. That's the success story on Earth. Bullets, bombs, prisons, disease that can't be healed, mental illness that runs amok. That's the Earth. That's your destiny. That's who you are. That's where you were born. Into Satan's little mud pit, where you're going to be consumed by the enemy of your soul. That's why you were born, is to be a demon. And that's what's happening. YouTube is fully devoted to the satanic plan. Your scientists are absolutely owned and operated by the enemy of your soul. Everything you're taught in science is shit. Everything you're taught in religion is shit. Everything is a deception. You can't get out. You won't get out. That's the message. That's the message of your video games, all of which are racist. Your country is racist. Your leaders are racist. Anybody who has any power is racist. They're working for someone else, and usually they don't know who it is. That's your American democracy system. You just get enough stupid people together, it'll magically create intelligence. That is a satanic idea. That's how they got Yeshua, by getting enough like-minded men together to say that Satan is occupying the body of Jesus Christ. Well, I don't know of any higher sin than that. Yeshua actually leaves a loophole there, although, as you know from me, it's not a loophole. I will show you that it's not a loophole. But Yeshua is on record as having stated that you can say anything you want against the Son of Man. That's one of his titles, because he is a Son of Man, but he's the Son of Man, the unique Son of Man. Can you say anything you want against your head, your king, really your God? Although the Islam people would have an objection. I'll deal with the Islam people in a moment. They're fine, but they need me. For the same reason I need them. We need to get in on the good operation. There is still such a thing as the gospel, the direct transmission of the information you need to be saved. Then it's up to you. Because love requires submission. You have to learn to listen and obey. But if you choose wrong, you are owned by Satan. There is no in-between. So you want to go to the edge of the universe today to accompany me, a man you don't even know, who offers you the secrets of the universe through the greatest portal ever opened up to the mind of science. No one else wants it. Your astrophysicists hate this subject because it might interfere with their money system of lying to you about the expansion of the universe. The universe is expanding. We looked up the word universe in Wikipedia the other day, remember? Remember what it told us about the universe? The party line. Not a theory, but what science has discovered, that the universe is expanding. Really? Do you have any idea of the status of that theory? Outside of what's told to you by the propagandists who make money off of their lies, what do you know about the expansion of the universe? You fully accept it because Satan told you what to think. It's expanding? Well, that means you can't see it rotating. Because if it's expanding, that replaces the correct vision. Is it expanding? Let me ask you something, point blank, so you can rape yourself out of your stupid lies. What would it even mean that the universe is expanding? There's one question that halts that shit right in its tracks. What is it expanding into? If it's expanding, that means there's a medium into which it can expand that's outside the universe. Well, that's where we're going to go. But not right now. That's 15 minutes. I need to eat and fluidate and take a gummy bear, and I just might drop a gram or so of mushrooms. So I can take you to the edge of the universe and leave you there. Just guide our craft back while you're just sitting there, adrift forever. Would that be hell? Only you will know. I'll take you out there, abandon you, and then drive back at light speed, which would take me billions of years, if not infinity, to get back home. So we're not going to do it physically. That's where your whole body and being, under your indoctrination, the lie system that's been imposed into your mind by the enemy of your soul, will not allow you to accompany a wise man anywhere. Because then you might see the truth. And then you would be converted and Satan would lose that round. Because your soul just went to the side of love. Where are you now if not on the side of love? I leave that up to you. As your homework, figure out your own condition. What is your destiny? So you're going to the edge of the universe. Why? You don't have enough money for psychedelics? Examine yourself, because I might just leave you. We'll get to the edge, I'll just turn this off, and you'll be stuck. Alrighty then. Stay tuned. I'm just getting a lot of flotsam and jetsam out of my wake, so I can pick up speed and guide you to eternity, where it's up to you what happens to you after that. I'm a scientist, I can only show you the truth. I certainly can't force your ass into heaven. That's up to you. You trust me? Good luck. Thank you very much. I hope you do trust me. I may be the last trustworthy man on earth. Good luck, whatever you decide. We'll be right back. Thank you.